The investor arrived at precisely 8 p.m. Marcus Chen, managing partner at Sequoia Capital, one of the most powerful venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. He spotted me immediately across the crowded ballroom, weaving through tech executives in designer suits. "Margaret Anderson, what an absolute pleasure!" He took my hand, kissed it theatrically. "I had no idea you'd be here. Are you advising someone?" My son-in-law, Derek, froze mid-sentence, his pitch to a junior analyst dying in his throat. "Just attending as a guest," I said. "My husband's company event." "Well, this is serendipitous. Derek Hart, right? The Flow Metrics founder?" Marcus turned to Derek, whose face had gone from confident to confused. "Margaret and I were just reviewing your Series A documents yesterday. Quite impressive. She's your lead investor." Derek's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "She's what?" "Your lead investor. $5 million committed. Didn't she tell you?" No, she didn't." Marcus looked between us, sensing tension. "Ah, family dynamics. Always complicated." He looked at me. "Margaret, darling, we should discuss the Asian expansion strategy. Find me later?" "Of course, Marcus." He left. The ballroom noise swallowed his departure. But Derek and I stood in sudden, terrible silence. "You're..." Derek's voice was barely audible. "You're the mystery investor?" "I was," I said quietly, "until about 5 minutes ago when you called me a country bumpkin who shops at thrift stores, in front of your colleagues, loudly." His face went white. "I need to make a phone call," I said. "Excuse me." I walked away, left him standing there, and I called my lawyer. "Cancel the Flow Metrics investment, all of it. Draw up the withdrawal papers tonight." "My name is Margaret Anderson. I'm 62 years old. I'm worth approximately $3.4 billion, and I just pulled $5 million from my son-in-law's startup because he spent an hour mocking my appearance at my husband's corporate event. Let me explain how we got here. I started investing in 1987. I was 25 years old, working as a secretary at a venture capital firm in Menlo Park. I typed up term sheets, scheduled meetings, made coffee. Entry-level work that paid barely enough for my studio apartment. But I listened. I paid attention. I learned. The partners would discuss investments around the conference table. Which companies showed promise? Which founders had vision? Which markets were about to explode? I took notes. Not just meeting notes, my own notes. Analysis, predictions. Which investments I thought would succeed and why. In 1988, the firm passed on a young search engine company. Too early, they said. No clear monetization strategy. The founder, a Stanford grad student, was brilliant, but the business model was questionable. I disagreed. I'd done research. Users were going online. They needed ways to find information. Search engines were the future. I had $7,000 saved, my entire life savings. I invested $6,000 of it in that company, bought shares at 50 cents each, 12,000 shares. The company eventually became Google. Those shares, after splits and acquisitions, are now worth approximately $400 million. That was my first investment, my best investment, and the one that taught me the most important lesson. Trust your research, not the consensus. But the path from secretary to billionaire wasn't smooth. It was 35 years of calculated risks, painful failures, and hard-won wisdom. After Google, I got cocky. Invested in 3 companies in quick succession. All of them failed. All 3. I lost $80,000, money I'd borrowed against my Google shares. I was 27 years old, deeply in debt, and questioning everything. My father called me. Back in Iowa, where I'd grown up, he'd heard I was struggling. "Margaret, you remember what I told you about farming? That it's 90% failure and 10% harvest?" "That's right. Investing's the same. You plant 100 seeds, maybe 10 grow, maybe one becomes something worth keeping, but you can't stop planting just because most seeds don't sprout. I'm in debt, Dad. I can't afford to keep failing. Then don't invest money you can't afford to lose. Build slowly, plant seeds carefully, and remember, the best harvest comes from seeds nobody else wants to plant. That conversation changed everything. I stopped trying to invest in hot deals, stopped chasing companies everyone wanted, started looking for overlooked opportunities, companies solving real problems that weren't sexy enough for Sand Hill Road. In 1991, I invested in a small online bookstore. Everyone thought books online were pointless. People want to browse physical shelves, they said. I disagreed. I'd grown up in rural Iowa. The nearest bookstore was 40 miles away. An online bookstore meant access, opportunity, freedom. I invested $25,000. That company became Amazon. In 1995, I invested in a video rental company experimenting with mail-order DVDs. Blockbuster will crush them, investors said. I disagreed. I'd analyzed Blockbuster's business model, late fees, limited inventory, inconvenient locations. A mail-order service solved all those problems. I invested $50,000. That company became Netflix. In 2004, I met a Stanford dropout who wanted to digitize college social networks. Every VC I knew passed. MySpace already won, they said. Social networks are played out. I spent 3 hours talking to this kid, asked him about his vision, about privacy controls, about how college students actually used social networks. He had answers for everything, smart, detailed answers. I invested $200,000. That company became Facebook. In 2008, during the financial crisis, I met two guys who wanted to start an electric car company. Everyone thought they were insane. Electric cars are golf carts, they said. Tesla already failed once. But I talked to them, learned about battery technology, about government incentives, about the wealthy early adopters who'd pay premium prices for performance EVs. I invested $500,000. That company became the Tesla we know today. People ask me how I knew, how I picked winners when everyone else saw losers. The truth? I didn't always know. I made educated guesses. I did research. I talked to founders. I analyzed markets. And I trusted my instincts when data wasn't enough. But mostly, I invested in overlooked opportunities because I understood what it meant to be overlooked. I'd spent my 20s being dismissed as just a secretary, being hit on by partners at the firm who thought I was there for decoration, being excluded from conversations about tech because women don't understand engineering. I learned to use that invisibility, to listen when men didn't think I was listening, to absorb information they didn't think I could process, to see opportunities they missed because they were too busy looking at what everyone else was looking at. By 2005, my portfolio was worth approximately $800 million. I'd invested in 47 companies. 32 had failed or gone nowhere. 15 had succeeded. 5 had become billion-dollar companies. My success rate was 32%. Industry average is about 5%. I wasn't smarter than other investors. I just worked harder, did more research, trusted data over hype, and bet on founders everyone else dismissed. My husband, Richard, is CEO of Anderson Technologies, software company, enterprise solutions, boring but profitable. We met in 1992 at a tech conference. He was presenting. I was in the audience taking notes. He asked me to dinner. I said yes. We married a year later. Richard knows I invest, knows I'm successful. But he doesn't know the full extent. Doesn't know about Google or Facebook or Tesla. Doesn't know I'm worth more than he is. We keep our finances separate, our lives independent. He's proud of his company, his success, his wealth. I let him be. No need to compete. We have one daughter, Emma, born in 1995. Brilliant, kind, independent. She went to Stanford, studied computer science, worked at several startups, met Derek Hart at a networking event in 2018. Derek, 29 years old when they met, Stanford MBA, worked at McKinsey for 3 years before deciding to launch his own startup. Ambitious, charismatic, confident to the point of arrogance. Emma was smitten. They dated for a year, got engaged, married in 2020. I had reservations about Derek. Something about him bothered me. The way he talked about money, about success, about making it big. But Emma loved him. She was happy. That's what mattered. At the wedding, Derek's toast mentioned Emma's connections and network more than her actual qualities. Mentioned how marrying into a successful family would help his career. Red flag number 1. After the wedding, Derek launched Flow Metrics, a SaaS platform for workflow optimization, predictive analytics, AI-powered insights, all the buzzwords. The idea was solid. The execution remained to be seen. Derek had vision but limited technical skills. He'd need to hire well, manage well, execute well. He raised a small seed round, $250,000 from friends and family, started building, hired a team, created a prototype. Emma didn't invest. She was still working, didn't have that kind of capital. Richard contributed $25,000 as a family support gesture. Derek never asked me. Probably assumed I was just Richard's wife, just Emma's mother, just a woman who'd spent her career as someone's secretary. Fine, let him think that. I watched from a distance, reviewed his pitch deck when Emma showed it to me, looked at his financial projections, analyzed his market research. The business was viable. The team was competent. The founder was problematic. But sometimes great companies are built by difficult people. I decided to invest $5 million, enough to fund a proper Series A, enough to accelerate growth, enough to test whether Derek could scale a business or just talk about scaling a business. But I didn't tell him. I routed it through a venture capital firm. Marcus Chen at Sequoia agreed to be the face of the investment. Standard practice for investors who want privacy. Derek thought he'd landed a major VC firm, thought his pitch had won over Silicon Valley elite, thought he'd succeeded on his own merit. He hadn't. He'd succeeded because his mother-in-law believed in his business despite having doubts about his character. The investment closed in August. Derek was ecstatic. Threw a party, gave interviews to tech blogs, posted on LinkedIn about validation and momentum. Never once wondered why Sequoia invested with such limited due diligence. Never questioned why a top-tier firm would move so quickly on an early-stage B2B SaaS company. Because ego is blind, and Derek's ego was enormous. The corporate event was Richard's company's annual gala, December 15th. Black tie optional. 500 employees plus spouses and significant others. Richard asked me to come. It's important. I'm announcing the board changes. Want you there. Of course. It's black tie optional. You have something appropriate? I'll find something. I own a closet full of designer clothes. Armani, Chanel, Valentino. Clothes I wore to investor dinners and board meetings when I needed to look the part. But I hate them. They're uncomfortable, impractical, performative. For Richard's event, I chose a simple dress, navy blue, knee-length, from Nordstrom, $200. Comfortable, appropriate. I did my own hair, minimal makeup. My everyday pearl necklace, a gift from Richard on our 10th anniversary, sweet, but not expensive. I looked like exactly what I was, a 62-year-old woman who didn't care about impressing anyone. Richard saw me before we left. You're wearing that? Yes. Is it not appropriate? It's fine. Just, there will be photographers, press, board members. Then I'll smile for the photographers. He didn't push. We drove to the venue in relative silence. The event was at the Fairmont Grand Ballroom, crystal chandeliers, open bar, waiters with appetizers, very corporate, very Silicon Valley, very performative. I recognized several people, tech executives I'd met over the years, investors I'd collaborated with, founders whose companies I'd backed. None of them recognized me, because I was dressed like someone's wife instead of someone who'd funded their seed rounds. Perfect. Derek and Emma arrived fashionably late. Derek in an expensive suit, Tom Ford probably. Emma in a designer dress I'd helped her pick out months ago. They worked the room, Derek especially, shaking hands, making introductions, networking aggressively. I stayed near the bar, watching, sipping champagne, playing the role of dutiful corporate spouse. Derek saw me after about 20 minutes, did a double take, walked over with Emma. "Mom, you made it!" Emma hugged me. "Wouldn't miss it." Derek looked me up and down. His expression was uncharitable. "Mrs. Anderson, good to see you." He didn't hug me, didn't kiss my cheek, just a tight smile. "Derek, congratulations on the funding." "Thank you. Big moment for Flowmetrics." "I'm sure." An awkward pause. Then Derek's attention shifted. Someone more important had entered, someone worth networking with. "We should circulate," he said to Emma. "Lots of people to talk to." They left. I returned to my champagne. An hour later, I was standing near the appetizer table when I heard Derek's voice. Loud, carrying across the room. "Oh my God, did you see what my mother-in-law is wearing? I mean, we're at the Fairmont. Black tie optional. And she shows up looking like she's going to Sunday church in rural Nebraska." Laughter, male voices, his friends probably, or colleagues. I froze, looked over. Derek was standing with 3 men I didn't recognize. Tech bros in expensive suits, holding cocktails, laughing at his joke. "That's rough, man," one of them said. "You have no idea. My wife's family is complicated. Father-in-law is great, loaded, runs Anderson Tech. But the mother? Total country bumpkin. I don't think she's worn designer anything in her entire life." More laughter. "Maybe she's secretly wealthy and just doesn't care," someone offered. Doubtful. She was a secretary before she married Richard. Total gold digger situation. Now she just hangs around spending his money on, I don't know, thrift stores, apparently. I should have walked away, should have left, should have done anything except stand there listening. But I couldn't move, couldn't process what I was hearing. "You should have seen the wedding," Derek continued. "She wore this awful dress, like something from the clearance rack at Macy's. And her gift to us? A set of kitchen towels. Kitchen towels! We're starting a tech company and she gives us kitchen towels." Those kitchen towels were handmade by a woman I'd met at a craft fair. Gorgeous embroidery. $200. More expensive than most wedding gifts. But Derek had looked at them and seen only their utility, not their beauty, not their craftsmanship, just cheap towels. The struggle is real, one of Derek's companions said, mock sympathetic. You guys don't understand. It's embarrassing. I'm trying to close deals with serious investors, and she shows up to events looking like someone's grandmother from Kansas. People ask, who's that? And I have to say, oh, that's my mother-in-law. Makes the whole family look low rent. Have you said something to your wife? Emma? No, she's weirdly protective of her mother. Some mother-daughter thing I don't get. But honestly, I just avoid bringing the family up in professional contexts. Better that way. The conversation shifted. Someone mentioned a startup. Derek launched into pitch mode. I stood there, numb, angry, hurt in a way I hadn't expected. I've been underestimated my entire life, dismissed as just a secretary, or someone's wife, or not technical. I've learned to use it, to let people reveal themselves when they think I don't matter. But this was different. This was my son-in-law, my daughter's husband, family, and he was mocking me, publicly, at my husband's event, where I'd come to support Richard. I found Emma. She was talking with some of Richard's executives. Emma, can we talk? Privately? Sure, Mom. Everything okay? Not really. We found a quiet corner. I told her what I'd heard, verbatim, every word. Her face went from concerned to shocked to furious. He said that? About you? He did. I'm going to kill him. Don't, not here, not at your father's event. Mom, he called you a country bumpkin, said you were embarrassing, said, I know what he said. I was there. What do you want to do? Nothing, tonight. But tomorrow we're having a conversation. You, me, Derek, about respect, about family, about what's acceptable. I'll set it up. Thank you. We returned to the event. I smiled, made small talk, pretended everything was fine. But I was calculating, planning, deciding. Around 9 p.m., things changed. Marcus Chen arrived, late, as always. He didn't attend events on time, preferred dramatic entrances. He spotted me across the room, waved, started walking over. Derek saw Marcus, recognized him immediately. Sequoia Capital was leading his Series A. Marcus was his main contact. This was a golden networking opportunity. Derek intercepted Marcus, extended his hand. Marcus, what a surprise! Didn't know you'd be here. Richard and I go way back, Marcus said. Plus, I heard Margaret might attend. Wanted to say hello. Margaret? Margaret Anderson. She's around here somewhere. He spotted me. Ah, there she is. Marcus walked past Derek, came directly to me, took my hand with genuine warmth. Margaret Anderson, what an absolute pleasure. I had no idea you'd be here. Are you advising someone? Behind him, Derek stood frozen, confused, trying to understand. Just attending as a guest, I said. My husband's company event. Well, this is serendipitous. Marcus turned back to Derek. Derek Hart, right? The Flowmetrics founder? Yes, that's me. Margaret and I were just reviewing your Series A documents yesterday. Quite impressive. She's your lead investor. The ballroom didn't go quiet. People kept talking, laughing, drinking. But in our small circle, in that moment, the silence was absolute. Derek's face went through several emotions: confusion, disbelief, understanding, horror. She's what? Your lead investor, $5 million committed. Didn't she tell you? No. Marcus looked between us. I could see him reading the situation, understanding that something was wrong. Ah, family dynamics, always complicated. He smiled diplomatically. Margaret, darling, we should discuss the Asian expansion strategy. Find me later? Of course, Marcus. He left. Tactful. Probably realized he'd just stepped in something. Derek and I stood there, The party continued around us, but we might as well have been alone. "You're my investor?" His voice was barely above a whisper. "I was." "What do you mean, was?" "I mean, I spent the last hour listening to you mock my appearance, call me a country bumpkin, and tell your friends I'm an embarrassment to the family. So I made a phone call to my lawyer to start withdrawal proceedings. You can't, you can't pull the investment. We have a contract." "Read the contract, especially Section 12, subsection C. Material misrepresentation by the founder regarding conflicts of interest. You failed to disclose our family relationship when accepting the investment. That's grounds for withdrawal." "I didn't know you were the investor." "Exactly, because you never asked. Never wondered who was willing to put $5 million into an early-stage B2B SaaS company with limited traction. You just assumed you'd earned it, that your pitch was so brilliant Sequoia couldn't resist." "I don't understand. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted to see who you really were, how you'd treat family when you thought they couldn't help your career. And now I know." Emma appeared. She'd been watching from across the room. "Mom? Derek? What's happening?" "Your husband just learned I'm his lead investor, and I just learned he thinks I'm an embarrassing country bumpkin. So we're at an impasse." Emma looked at Derek. "You knew about this?" "About what?" "About Mom being the investor." "No, I had no idea. I thought—" He stopped, realized he couldn't explain without making it worse. "You thought what?" Emma's voice was cold. "That she was just Dad's wife? Just some woman who used to be a secretary?" "I didn't." "What did you say about her before Marcus arrived?" Derek went pale. "What did you say?" "I was joking with some guys, just blowing off steam." "What did you say?" He couldn't answer. I answered for him. "He said I look like someone's grandmother from Kansas, that I'm an embarrassment to the family, that I give cheap gifts, that he avoids mentioning family in professional contexts because of me." Emma's hand flew to her mouth. "Derek, no." "It wasn't like that." "What was it like then?" "I was just... People were making jokes about their in-laws. It's a thing people do. I didn't mean..." "You meant it." I kept my voice level, calm. "You meant every word, because that's what you actually think, that appearance matters more than substance, that someone's worth is measured by their wardrobe and their job title." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know." "That I had money? That I had power? That I could hurt your business? I know you didn't know. That's the point." Marcus reappeared, timing impeccable as always. "Margaret, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I'm leaving soon and wanted to catch you about..." He stopped, read the room. "Should I come back?" "No, it's fine. Derek and I were just finishing our conversation." "Actually," Derek said, desperation creeping into his voice, "Marcus, there's been a misunderstanding about the investment. I think we need to..." Marcus held up a hand. "Derek, whatever's happening here is between you and your family. The investment stands as structured until formal withdrawal procedures are initiated. If that happens, we'll deal with it through appropriate channels, okay?" "But..." "Okay?" "Yes, okay." Marcus turned to me. "Call me tomorrow. We should talk." "I will." He left, for real this time. The three of us stood there. Emma was crying silently. Derek looked like he might vomit. I felt nothing, just cold calculation. "I'm leaving," I said. "Richard can get a ride with someone else. Emma, we'll talk tomorrow. Derek, my lawyer will be in touch." "Please," Derek said, "please don't do this. The company will die without that funding. We're counting on it. I'm counting on it." "You should have thought about that before you decided my dress wasn't expensive enough." "That's not fair." "No. What's not fair is being mocked by family at a professional event. What's not fair is being called an embarrassment when I've spent 35 years building a portfolio that could buy your company 100 times over. What's not fair is being dismissed as a country bumpkin by someone who wouldn't have a Series A without me. I walked away, left them standing there, left the party, got in my car and drove home. Once there, I called my lawyer. Then I called Marcus. Then I called 3 other investors I'd worked with over the years. By midnight, the wheels were in motion. Flowmetrics was about to learn a very expensive lesson about respecting people regardless of how they dress. The fallout was swift and brutal. My lawyer sent withdrawal papers to Flowmetrics first thing Monday morning. Legal, binding, citing Section 12, subsection C, failure to disclose material family relationships. Derek's lawyer tried to fight it, argued the relationship wasn't material, that Derek hadn't known, that the investment should proceed anyway. My lawyer destroyed the argument in 3 paragraphs. The relationship was absolutely material. Derek's failure to disclose wasn't intentional, but it was still a breach. The contract was void. By Wednesday, Derek had lost $5 million in funding. By Friday, 2 other investors who'd committed to follow-on funding pulled out. Not because of the legal issues, because word got around. Silicon Valley is a small world. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone talks. Did you hear about Derek Hart, Flowmetrics founder? Yeah, that guy. He insulted his lead investor at a corporate event, called her a country bumpkin. Didn't know she was Margaret Anderson. Yeah, the Margaret Anderson. Google, Facebook, Tesla Margaret Anderson. She pulled the whole $5 million, just gone. Can you imagine? The story spread, mutated, grew more dramatic with each telling. Some versions had me wearing rags. Some had Derek physically pushing me aside. Some had me crying in the bathroom before the reveal. None of it was accurate, but accuracy didn't matter. The narrative was too good. Arrogant young founder insults secret billionaire, loses everything. By the following Monday, Flowmetrics was in crisis mode. Derek called an all-hands meeting. 15 employees packed into their small conference room. He had to tell them the Series A was dead, that they had maybe 6 months of runway, that layoffs were coming. Emma told me about it later. She'd been there. Derek had insisted she be there for support. He was devastated, Mom, completely broken. Told everyone it was his fault, that he damaged the company's reputation, that he took full responsibility. Did anyone quit? 3 people, immediately, said they couldn't work for someone with such bad judgment. And the rest? They're sticking around, for now, but morale is terrible. Everyone's updating their LinkedIn profiles, interviewing elsewhere. The company's dying. That's unfortunate. That's all you have to say? That's unfortunate? What do you want me to say, Emma? That I feel bad? I don't. Derek made his choices. Now he lives with them. He made one mistake, one public mistake. Who knows how many private ones? You're being cruel. I'm being honest. Derek judged me by my appearance, decided I wasn't worth respect because I don't dress the way he thinks important people should dress. That's not a mistake. That's character. People can change. Maybe, but I don't invest in maybes. I invest in certainties. She left angry. I felt terrible, but not terrible enough to change my mind. Over the next 2 weeks, the situation deteriorated. 3 more investors Derek approached passed on Flowmetrics, politely, professionally, with generic rejection reasons that fooled nobody. Market timing isn't right. Portfolio fit isn't there. Current runway concerns us. What they meant, we heard what you said about Margaret Anderson, and we're not touching this. Derek tried pivoting, reached out to East Coast investors, European VCs, anyone outside Silicon Valley's gossip network. But Silicon Valley's network is global. Word had spread everywhere. By week 3, Derek was looking at acquisition options. Maybe a larger company would buy Flowmetrics for the technology. Fire Derek, keep the team, salvage something. No takers. The tech was promising, but not revolutionary. The team was good, but not irreplaceable. And Derek's reputation poisoned the well. By week 4, layoffs began. 5 employees, junior positions, people who'd just joined, people who'd left good jobs to take a chance on a startup. Emma came over again, crying this time. Mom, this is horrible. Those people have families, mortgages, student loans, and they're being let go because Derek was an idiot at a party. They're being let go because Derek couldn't run a company properly. The party just accelerated the timeline. You could fix this. One phone call, one recommendation to an investor you trust. You could save those jobs. I could, but should I? Yes, Mom, please. These are innocent people who chose to work for Derek, who bet their careers on his leadership. I'm sorry they made a bad bet, but that's not my responsibility. When did you become so cold? I'm not cold. I'm pragmatic. Emma, I've invested in hundreds of companies. Some failed, some succeeded. When they failed, people lost jobs. That's the nature of startups. Not every founder succeeds. Not every company survives. That's capitalism. This is different. How? Because you're choosing to let it fail. You have the power to save it. I have the power to delay the inevitable. Derek's company was always a risky bet. Now it's a toxic bet. Even if I helped, other investors would still avoid it. Customers would still hesitate. The best outcome is a quick death and everyone moves on. She stared at me. I don't recognize you right now. Because you've never seen me as an investor. You've only seen me as your mother. This is what I do. I make hard decisions based on data, not feelings. What about family? What about respect? What about basic human decency? Derek violated both. I'm responding appropriately. She left. Didn't speak to me for a week. Richard tried to mediate. Margaret, Emma's hurting. Derek's hurting. Maybe it's time to consider a compromise. What kind of compromise? Help Derek find another investor. Make a call. Give him a chance to save the company. Why should I? Because he's family. Because Emma loves him. Because 15 employees don't deserve to lose their jobs over one stupid comment. He didn't make one stupid comment. He made a pattern of dismissive comments over months. I just wasn't supposed to hear them. You're probably right. But is being right worth losing your daughter? That hit hard. I thought about it for 2 days, wrestled with it. Pride versus pragmatism. Justice versus mercy. Finally, I called Derek. We need to talk, in person. He arrived an hour later, looking like he hadn't slept in days, unshaven, wrinkled clothes, nothing like the polished tech bro from the party. You wanted to see me? Sit. He sat, hands folded, waiting. I'm going to make one phone call, I said, to one investor who might look at Flowmetrics despite the mess you've created. Jonathan Marks, small firm, good guy, known for taking risks on complicated situations. Why would you do that? Because Emma's not speaking to me, because 15 employees don't deserve to suffer for your mistakes, and because, despite everything, the Flowmetrics technology is solid. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just listen. This is the last favor you'll ever get from me. Jonathan will assess the company on its merits. If he invests, great. If he doesn't, you're done. No more calls, no more help. Clear? Yes, thank you. One more thing. You're going to fix yourself. Not for me, for Emma. You're going to figure out why you thought it was okay to mock someone's appearance. Why you value money and status over character. Why you judge people by their clothes. And you're going to change. Really change. Not perform change. Not pretend change. Actually become a better person. How do I do that? Therapy, reading, humility. I don't care. Figure it out. But if you hurt Emma again, if you ever make her feel like her family isn't good enough, I won't just pull an investment. I'll make sure you never work in tech again. Understand? Yes, ma'am. Good. Now get out of my house. He left. I called Jonathan. The conversation was honest, brutal, necessary. Jonathan, I have a deal for you. It's messy. The founder is problematic, but the business is solid. How messy? Family drama. The founder is married to my daughter. He insulted me publicly. I pulled my investment. Now Silicon Valley won't touch him. Why are you calling me then? Because my daughter asked me to. Because the employees deserve better. And because, objectively, the company has potential. What's your read on the founder? Arrogant, superficial, obsessed with appearances, but teachable, maybe, with the right pressure. Would you invest again? No, but that's personal, not professional. Send me the deck. I'll take a look. 2 weeks later, Jonathan committed $3 million. Not 5, not the terms Derek wanted, but enough to survive. The deal was harsh. Lower valuation, more board control, strict milestones. Jonathan took no prisoners. Derek signed anyway, because dying slowly was better than dying immediately. Flowmetrics survived, barely. Employees kept their jobs. Emma started speaking to me again. But Derek and I were done, permanently done. Epilogue. It's been 18 months since the corporate event. 18 months since Derek called me a country bumpkin and learned what that country bumpkin was worth. Flowmetrics is doing okay now. Not great, but okay. Revenue is growing steadily. Customer base is expanding. Jonathan's harsh milestones are being met. Barely. Derek has changed. Emma says he's different, quieter, less flashy, more focused on execution than perception. He barely posts on LinkedIn anymore, she told me last month. Doesn't do podcast interviews, doesn't brag about funding or valuation, just works. Good. Are you still angry? No, I'm past angry. I'm at indifferent now. That's worse than angry. Maybe, but it's honest. The dinner happened because Emma insisted. She'd been working on both of us for months. Finally, we agreed. Small Italian place, casual, comfortable, the 4 of us. Derek brought flowers, grocery store daisies, not roses, not expensive arrangements, just simple flowers. Mrs. Anderson, thank you for agreeing to this. You're welcome. We ordered, made small talk, avoided the heavy conversation for most of the meal. Then, over dessert, Derek put down his fork and looked at me directly. I've spent 18 months thinking about what to say to you. I've written speeches, practiced in the mirror, and I've realized nothing I say will fix what I broke. Probably not. But I want you to know I was wrong, completely, fundamentally wrong, not just about you, about what matters, about how to treat people, about what success actually looks like. What changed? Failure changed me. Losing your investment forced me to look at myself honestly, and I didn't like what I saw. What did you see? Someone who valued perception over reality, someone who measured worth by bank accounts and wardrobes, someone who'd become exactly the kind of person I claimed to despise. And now? Now I'm trying to be different. I started therapy, read a lot, volunteered at a homeless shelter, tried to understand what it's like to be dismissed because of how you look. How'd that go? Humbling. Everyone at the shelter has a story. Everyone deserves dignity. And I realized that's what I took from you. Dignity. I'm sorry. I looked at this man, saw genuine remorse, genuine change. Derek, I accept your apology, but I want you to understand something. You didn't just insult me. You revealed who you were when nobody important was watching. That's what hurt. Not the words, the mindset behind them. I understand. Do you? Or do you just understand that you got caught? Both, honestly. I understand the mindset was wrong, but I also understand I only confronted it because there were consequences. I'm not proud of that, but it's true. At least you're honest. Richard spoke up. Margaret, what do you need to move forward? Time and proof. Derek's apologized. He's changed his behavior. Now I need to see if it sticks. If this is real change or just temporary humility. That's fair, Derek said. Emma reached for my hand. Thank you for trying. I'm doing this for you, not for him. I know, but it still means everything. We finished dinner, said goodbyes, drove home. Richard looked at me. You okay? Yeah, I think I am. Do you trust him now? Not yet. Maybe never completely, but I'm willing to see if he earns it back. That's growth for both of us. Last week, I invested in a new startup, early-stage fintech, female founder, first-generation immigrant from Pakistan. Her name is Zara Ahmed, 28 years old, MIT grad, building a microfinance platform for immigrant small business owners. Every major VC passed on her. Too early, too risky, too niche. I saw brilliance. I called her. We talked for 3 hours. She told me about her parents, about their struggles, about why this work mattered. I want to help people like my family, she said. People who are overlooked because they don't fit the traditional profile. I understand that. I've been overlooked my entire career. You? You're a legend. Now I am, but I started as a secretary from Iowa who invested her life savings in a search engine nobody wanted. That's inspiring. It's humbling. Success came from being underestimated, from letting people dismiss me, from proving them wrong quietly. I invested $2 million, seed round, favorable terms. Zara cried. Why? Why would you bet on me? Because I see myself in you. Because your business solves a real problem. Because everyone else is wrong. I won't let you down. I know. And Zara, when you succeed, and you will, remember this feeling. Remember being underestimated. And when some kid shows up in Nordstrom clothes instead of Chanel, don't dismiss them. They might be the next me. I'll remember. That's what I do. That's what I'll always do. I invest in overlooked opportunities, underestimated founders, ideas everyone else dismisses, because I know what it's like to be dismissed, to be judged by appearances, to be seen as less than. Derek was right about one thing. I am a country bumpkin, born in Iowa, raised on a farm, first in my family to finish college. But being a country bumpkin taught me everything Silicon Valley needs to know. Hard work, humility, substance over style, character over credentials. I've made billions by being underestimated, and I'll keep being underestimated. Keep wearing Nordstrom, keep driving my old car, keep showing up to fancy events looking like someone's grandmother, Because my net worth isn't in my closet. It's in my portfolio, and it's worth $3.4 billion. The end. 3 months after that dinner with Derek, something unexpected happened. I got an email from a young woman named Jennifer Park. Subject line, "Thank you for existing." She wrote, "Dear Mrs. Anderson, you don't know me, but I know you. Everyone in Silicon Valley knows you, even if they don't know your face. I'm a 24-year-old Korean-American woman who just got rejected by her 30th investor." They all say the same things. Too risky, too early, not enough traction. But I keep going because I read about you, about how you invested in Google when everyone passed, about how you backed Netflix when Blockbuster seemed invincible, about how you see what others miss. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for advice. How do you keep believing when everyone tells you you're wrong? Jennifer. I wrote back immediately. Jennifer, come to my house for coffee. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Bring your pitch deck. Margaret. She showed up exactly on time, nervous, wearing a suit that was slightly too big, probably borrowed, carrying a worn laptop bag. Mrs. Anderson, thank you so much for... Call me Margaret. Come in. We sat in my living room. She pulled out her laptop with shaking hands. What are you building? I asked. A platform for connecting gig workers with financial services. Most gig workers can't get traditional loans or credit cards because they don't have stable income. Banks see them as too risky. But they're working 60, 70 hours a week. They just don't fit the traditional profile. Interesting. Keep going. She walked me through her pitch, the market size, the revenue model, the competitive landscape. She'd done her homework. Why you? I asked. Why are you the person to build this? Because I was a gig worker. DoorDash, Uber, TaskRabbit. I worked 3 gig jobs to pay for Stanford. And I couldn't get a credit card until my senior year because algorithms said I was high risk. Even though I was earning $50,000 a year, even though I never missed a payment, I was invisible to the system. And you want to change that. I want to make people like me visible. I looked at this young woman, saw myself 30 years ago, saw determination, saw vision, saw someone everyone else had underestimated. How much are you raising? Seed round, $500,000. I'll give you $1 million. 50% now, 50% when you hit your first milestone. Her eyes went wide. What? Why? Because 30 years ago, I was you, working multiple jobs, being dismissed by people who should have known better. And someone gave me a chance. Now I'm giving you one. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Say you'll work harder than you've ever worked. Say you'll build something meaningful. Yes, all of that. Yes. Good. My lawyer will send papers tomorrow. She left crying, grateful, determined. Richard asked me that night, another investment in someone the Valley rejected? Always. You're building quite a portfolio of misfits. They're not misfits. They're just people who don't fit other people's narrow definitions of success. And those are the ones who change the world. Jennifer's company is doing well now. 18 months later, they've processed $10 million in loans to gig workers. Default rate is lower than traditional consumer loans. Turns out gig workers are pretty reliable when someone actually gives them a chance. She calls me once a month, updates me on progress, asks for advice, tells me about the customers whose lives they've changed. We had a DoorDash driver who got a loan to fix his car, she told me last week. He'd been using his mom's car. Now he has his own. He's working more hours, making more money, saving for his daughter's college. That's what this is about, I said. Not unicorns or exits. People. Real people with real needs. You taught me that. No, I didn't. You knew it already. I just gave you capital to execute. That's my legacy. Not the billions in my portfolio, not the legendary investments, not the Oracle of Sand Hill Road nickname. My legacy is the founders I backed when nobody else would, the companies I helped build, the lives that changed because someone saw potential where others saw risk. Derek will never fully understand that. He's better now, sure, but he still thinks in terms of valuations and exits. He still measures success in dollars. I measure success in impact. How many rare disease patients got treatments because I funded research? How many gig workers got loans because I backed Jennifer? How many immigrant entrepreneurs built businesses because I believed in them? That's what matters. That's what wealth is for. Not designer clothes, not fancy cars, not impressing people at corporate events. Changing lives, opening doors, giving chances. Emma understands now. She called me last week. Mom, I wanted to say something about the Derek situation, about what happened. Okay. You were right to pull the investment, to make him face consequences. He needed that. I needed that. We both needed to understand that wealth isn't about having money. It's about what you do with it. Thank you for saying that. Derek's been different, really different. He volunteers now at a homeless shelter twice a week. He says it reminds him to stay humble. Good. And he's been reading about you, about your investments, about the companies you've backed. He told me the other day, your mom isn't just rich, she's important. There's a difference. He's learning. We both are. Thank you for teaching us. Last month, Forbes did a profile on me. The Oracle's Secret, how Margaret Anderson built a $3.4 billion portfolio by being underestimated. They interviewed me for 6 hours, asked about every major investment, wanted to know my secret. There's no secret, I told them. I just pay attention. I do research. I trust data. And I invest in people everyone else dismisses. Why do you dress so modestly? You could afford anything. I can afford anything. I choose this. Because expensive clothes don't make you smart. And I'd rather people underestimate me. It's useful. You mean like what happened with your son-in-law? Exactly like that. He saw a woman in a Nordstrom dress and decided I wasn't worth respecting. Cost him $5 million. Do you regret pulling the investment? No. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret the decision. The article came out last week, got 1 million views in the first day. Silicon Valley was buzzing. Some people praised me, said I was right to demand respect, said Derek got what he deserved. Others criticized me, said I was petty, said I should have been the bigger person, said family matters more than pride. I don't care what they think. I never have. I care about the Jennifers of the world, the Zaras, the overlooked founders who remind me why I do this work. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with another young founder, another person everyone else passed on, another opportunity to prove the consensus wrong. That's what I do. That's what I'll always do. I find diamonds in the rough. I invest when others pass. I believe when others doubt, because I remember what it's like to be dismissed, to be underestimated, to be told you're not good enough, smart enough, important enough. And I remember what it felt like when someone finally believed in me. Now I'm that someone for others. That's my purpose, my mission, my legacy. The country bumpkin from Iowa who became the Oracle of Sand Hill Road, who made billions by being invisible, who changed the world by investing in people others couldn't see, and who taught her son-in-law the most expensive lesson of his life. Never judge someone by their dress, because the woman in the Nordstrom outfit might be worth more than your entire company, and she just might be the one funding it. The end. Postscript, 2 years later. Richard and I are sitting on our porch. It's evening, quiet. He's reading the Wall Street Journal. I'm reviewing a pitch deck on my iPad. Another one, he asks. Always another one. What is it this time? Health tech. Platform for connecting rural patients with specialists. Founder grew up in Montana. Saw his grandfather die because the nearest cardiologist was 300 miles away. And everyone passed? Everyone. Too niche, they say. Rural healthcare isn't sexy. But you're interested. Very. Rural America is underserved. This could change that. How much? He's asking for $750,000. I'm thinking $1 million. Give him room to execute properly. Richard smiles. You're going to die doing this, aren't you? Finding companies nobody else wants. Probably, but what a way to go. Emma and Derek are coming for dinner tomorrow. They do that now. Monthly family dinners. We've rebuilt something. Not what we had before, something different, more honest. Derek's company sold 6 months ago. Exit wasn't huge, $70 million, but Jonathan made his money back plus solid returns. The employees got decent payouts. Derek walked away with enough to be comfortable. He's not starting another company. He's teaching now at Stanford, business ethics, how to build companies with integrity. I tell them about you, he told me last month, about what I did, what I learned, what it cost. Some students think I'm too harsh. Others get it. Keep telling it. Someone needs to. Emma is pregnant, first grandchild, due in March. They asked if they could name the baby Margaret if it's a girl. I cried. Richard did too. You don't have to, I said. We want to, Emma replied. We want her to know who you are, what you stand for, how you changed us. Zara's company is thriving. They just closed Series B, $30 million, valuation of $200 million. They're expanding to 15 countries. She called me yesterday. Margaret, I want you on my board, official board seat. I need your guidance. I don't usually take board seats. I know, but I'm asking anyway. Please. I need someone who remembers why we're doing this, someone who keeps me honest. I thought about it. Okay, but I'm going to be tough. I'm going to push you. I'm going to demand integrity. Good. That's exactly what I need. Jennifer's gig worker platform was acquired by a larger fintech company. $200 million acquisition. She's now running that division, helping them expand to underserved markets. She sends me Christmas cards, pictures of her family, updates on her life. Last year's card said, "Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. I'm trying to do the same for others." That's all I want, for the people I help to help others, for kindness to multiply, for dignity to spread. Derek will never be my friend, but he's family, and he's learned. That's enough. The corporate event was 2 years ago. Feels like a lifetime. Feels like yesterday. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I'd responded differently, if I'd confronted Derek immediately, if I'd made a scene, if I'd restored the investment. Would he have learned? Would he have changed? Would Emma and I be closer? I don't know. I can't know. But I know this. I made the right decision for me. I stood by my principles. I demanded respect. I showed Derek and Emma and everyone watching that wealth isn't about money. It's about values. And sometimes teaching that lesson costs $5 million. Worth it. Every penny. Tomorrow, I'll meet another founder, another person the Valley dismissed, another opportunity to prove the consensus wrong. And I'll wear my Nordstrom dress, and I'll drive my old car, and I'll be exactly who I've always been, the country bumpkin who built an empire, the invisible woman who changed the world, the oracle of Sand Hill Road who made billions by being underestimated. And I'll do it all again tomorrow, because that's who I am. That's who I'll always be.